Interesting story out of Politico about a meeting that Bernie Sanders and his supporters had. Bernie Sanders convened his top political advisors in Washington on Saturday for a planning meeting that included a discussion of the feasibility and shape of a possible 2020 presidential campaign. Half a dozen senior Democrats familiar with the gathering confirmed to Politico. Look, we'll see how it turns out, but run, Bernie, run. The top line message the Vermont senator received from the operatives gathered during the government shutdown was a more formal version of the one they've been giving him regularly for months. You would be one of the front runners for the Democratic nomination, and if you want to run, it's time to start seriously planning accordingly. Run, Bernie, run. So, look, I want to explain something because Bernie Sanders and his staff, they also live in Washington. And now they've been fighting Washington 40 years. That's why they're not very popular within Washington. And that's also why they're incredibly popular in the rest of the country. But still, they live in that subculture. So there's a discussion about how he would be one of the favorites. No, you're wrong about that. He is the overwhelming favorite. So I don't base that on the fact that I agree with Bernie Sanders. I base that on reality, polling. Every poll shows he's the most popular politician in the country, nearly twice as popular as Donald Trump. Well, can't you read polls? Well, apparently the mainstream can't read polls. People that live in Washington are incapable of reading polls. They look at it and they immediately skip Bernie and they go, okay, who's next? Oh, we got Biden and we got Warren and we got Harris and Booker. And so, why did you skip the guy at the top? Well, no, because Bernie can't win. I've talked to reporters, I've talked to people in Washington. They're all like, Bernie, Bernie, he can never be president. I kind of remember them saying that about someone else. You guys remember who that might be? Oh yeah, Donald Trump. Didn't they assure us that he could never ever be president? And weren't they completely 100, 1000% wrong? You know, and in June of 2015, I said on this show that Donald Trump would win the Republican nomination. You know why I said that? Not because I like Donald Trump, I hate Donald Trump. Because I can read a poll. I'm not some sort of fortune teller. It's not that hard. You read the goddamn poll. He's a clear front runner. And the second thing that they are discounting because of their own enormous bias in this case is that he now has the advantage in terms of name recognition and brand. In 2016, he closed a 60-point lead on Hillary Clinton. He started at 2% and almost caught her. But what was the main reason he didn't catch her? Because she had enormous name recognition and he didn't have any when he started. It took him a year to get there. Now, the shoe's on the other foot. Who's Kamala Harris? Klobuchar. Who's Klobuchar? Klobuchar? Okay, everybody knows Bernie Sanders. But the people in Washington have their blinders on. They're like, no, it's definitely not Bernie, definitely. Who's next? Who's number 2? Who's number 8? I gotta find some, oh, number 9, look at that. Maybe it's Gillibrand. No, it's the guy at the top. It's the guy at the top with all the name recognition, with all the love, with all the support, with over 80% of Democrats who support him. We got people online talking about, oh, Bernie shouldn't split the vote. No, you shouldn't split the vote. He's the leader. So even to his own staff, I gotta tell you this, you guys aren't getting it. He's the overwhelming favorite. If he runs, his likelihood of winning is enormous. You're looking at the next president of the United States of America. Assuming that he decides to run, he's healthy. So if he doesn't run, the 2020 Democratic primaries are a mess, okay? And I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a field of 15, 20 people, whatever. And I think a progressive will rise up and could still beat some of these establishment guys that'll have hundreds of millions of dollars. But if Bernie runs, it's not gonna be close. All this talk of like, oh my God, who's it gonna be? Which corporate Democrat is going to raise more money? And all these guys, they'll all talk about the money. Oh, Gillibrand raised this and Kamala Harris raised that. You're missing the picture. You've got your overwhelming favorite. He's right there at the top. Okay, now multiple Democrats close to Sanders insisted the meeting was not solely a 2020 planning session. That's fine, and they did. They apparently talked about 2018, of course they did. because he's up for re-election as a senator of Vermont in 2018. Did they and should they talk about 2020? Of course they should. All right, now more context here. Sanders has remained toward the top of the polls. I love Politico, toward the top of the polls, surveying the potential Democratic field without fail after a stunning 2016 bid. And he has been working methodically to address major issues that plagued him politically last time, boning up on foreign policy and making nice with a series of party power brokers. He also visited both Iowa and New Hampshire multiple times in 2017, a traditional sign of a possible run. Now, when I say I love Politico, I don't mean that literally, it's sarcastic. So look, from time to time, they do good reporting and they get you good information, and this is good information and kudos to them. But the mindset, they also live in Washington. The mindset is Bernie's problems was not name recognition, was not that every television station in the country said that Hillary Clinton had an overwhelming lead before anyone cast the vote because they counted the superdelegates early. It was not the framing, was not the lack of debates, was not any of that. To them, oh, he had foreign policy issues. Really? How many Democrats were like, oh man, I'm not sure that I agree with Bernie Sanders' position on Pakistan. I've got concerns about that. Where's your polling to justify that? It doesn't matter. Replace Pakistan with Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Israel, Russia. It does. Where's your polling to suggest that Democratic voters had issues with his foreign policy? You don't have that. Democratic voters in general love his foreign policy. You say that because you think Bernie Sanders, he's not as good on foreign policy as Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was great on foreign policy. That's why she, oh right, got killed. Totally lost to the worst candidate we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Okay, and then the second part is he's got to make nice with a series of party power brokers. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Bernie, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not make nice with Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin and Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein. Don't do that. That is a path to disaster. That's a trap. The American people are not interested in those people. That's why you poll way higher than them. Because people don't like them, because they don't work. Those guys don't represent them. You represent them. Do not listen to the politicos of the world. If anything, it won't help you, it'll hurt you to get those guys behind you. And it's a trap anyway. They don't want you to win. They're gonna try to lure you in with, oh, Bernie, and they did here, we're gonna put you in leadership. Not actual leadership, we're gonna make up a title for you, Bernie. Oh, are we gonna actually listen to you on policy? No, we're gonna pat you on the head and put you in the front, get a big crowd, and then have you step aside and have us do nonsense Mick resistance and never ever listen to you on policy. So don't listen to those guys. Run, Bernie, run. Do what you've been doing for the last 40 years. Fight for progressives. And finally, Politico notes, the next day, he hosted a town hall event focused on his Medicare for All proposal that drew over 1 million viewers online. I believe I saw that somewhere. We've been right all along. All the way back in 2013, I said that Bernie Sanders could beat Hillary Clinton. People thought I was nuts. They thought he's a tiny little guy. He's never going to amount to anything. He's 2 to 3%. That's all he's ever going to get. Well, they were wrong. He almost did beat Hillary Clinton. He did now what Politico acknowledges is a miraculous, stunning race in 2016. Now he's the clear favorite. We said that if you go online, you'll get more viewers anyway. 1 million people watch that. We were right about that. Broadcast here on the Young Turks and a couple of other outlets like Now This and Attention. You don't need those cable news guys. They're never going to agree with you. All the money in politics that you're fighting against goes to the cable news and the television guys in the form of advertising. They're not on your side, they're against you. Just go to the people. Don't worry about anybody in Washington. Don't worry about any power brokers. Go to the people and run, Bernie, run. What you just watched was one of the videos that we do today, but we actually do a whole 2-hour show every single day. It's a podcast. You could watch it in video or listen to it as audio. You can download it, you can stream it, and you get it completely ad-free if you could become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.